Today, we're talking about why the New York Jets are, quote, bullish on Zach Wilson going from rookie season to year two. We have really good insight from Albert Breer, who spoke to multiple Jets coaches and staffers behind the scenes about Zach Wilson's development. That's what we're talking about in today's Jake Asman show. So let's hit it and get it started. Hit it! Welcome in, everyone. My name is Jake Asman. This is the Jake Asman Show. The Jets just had one of their greatest wins in the last 20-something years, and we're going to break it all down. Zach Wilson, Robert Saleh, C.J. Mosley, Joe Douglas, Elijah Moore, Jermaine Johnson, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson. I think this is an excellent pick. Of Super Chats, you cut the line, smash the like button down below. That's that thumbs up icon. Now, let's talk about the New York Jets. And here we go. Welcome in for a Tuesday program. Thanks for spending part of your day with us right here on the channel. My name is Jake Asman. If you're new to the show, where have you been? We talk Jets each and every day right here on YouTube. So if you're a Jet fan, spread the word. Hit the subscribe button as well to help this channel continue to grow. So really good insight here into Zach Wilson. Albert Breer of the MMQB did a deep dive into why the Jets are, quote, bullish about Zach Wilson going from, let's be honest, underwhelming rookie season in totality. But if you put it in proper context, we saw Zach Wilson clearly improve down the stretch and get better. And I think we now know why. I think we had theories as to why. But hearing it from the Jets themselves and specifically what they did with Zach and what they wanted him to work on this offseason, I think is really incredible information. So the full story is linked in the description for this video. I encourage every Jet fan to read it. But I want to take a deep dive into what Albert Breer wrote about Zach Wilson. And then you'll hear some comments from Robert Saleh, who was on the Rich Eisen show yesterday. And he also revealed something I think very interesting about Zach Wilson's development from year one to year two. But we start with Albert Breer. I'm going to pull it up here on the screen, so bear with me, Jet fans. You'll see. So in this deep dive, and the caption in the story is insight into why the Jets are bullish on Zach Wilson's progress. So I want to talk about specifically what Albert Breer wrote here. This is what the Jets worked on with Zach in the offseason. I'll go bullet point by bullet point and give you my thoughts. Right after the season, coordinator Mike LaFleur and quarterbacks coach Rob Calabrese went through the scheme and play calling from 2021 and found too much volume and a bunch of plays that statistically weren't producing. So they resolved to clean up the offense. The system that they'd run, mostly under Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, really not had been operated by a player that young before, unless you count RG3, who was running something very different, a hybrid of his college offense in 2012, which told the staff that making it work for Wilson meant cleaning up the offense had to equate reducing volume. And part of that would mean really showing Wilson how simple the system could be and how if there were 60 concepts, really those concepts probably fit into 6 buckets with 10 calls in each, being very similar to the next with variations in formations, personnel grouping, etc., to throw the defense off. From there, the coaches made it so if in a single practice, Wilson ran, say, 12 plays that included 2 from each of the 6 buckets to reinforce that he's really running a total of 6 plays, with the next practice including 2 different plays from each of the 6 buckets. I think this is where putting the proper context in Zach Wilson's rookie season is appropriate. They were doing too much for Zach last year. Zach's a hard worker. He was putting in the time, but it's a lot to ask for a 22-year-old to master this Shanahan scheme, which is very complex. And you see the Jets put too much on Zach Wilson's plate a year ago, and this is where having a rookie coach paired up with a rookie offensive coordinator who was calling plays from the field when he's more comfortable in the booth, you could see why this was a disaster early on in Zach Wilson's rookie year. So when we talk about continuity, it's this type of stuff. That they had Zach Wilson, within the scheme for a full year. They know what worked, what didn't, and they know how to coach him up a lot better going from year one to year two. Now, also in this story, at the very beginning, Albert Breer talks about the fact that Zach Wilson had what he called the yips early on, and that's why the Jets brought in Zach Wilson's personal throwing coach, John Beck, saying, quote, the fact that Wilson had too much going through his head, and that was apparent right away. Albert Breer even noted that coming out of week one, Zach Wilson had a conversation with Aaron Rodgers that illustrated exactly that. The Friday night of week two, he and Rodgers were catching up over the phone, and Rodgers asked what Zach was doing. Zack responded that he was at the facility looking at tape. Rodgers' response, roughly, dude, what are you doing? Wilson's work was admirable, of course, but trying to do too much too fast wound up becoming a problem. And so coming out of last year, the Jets' offensive staff worked to make things easier on him. And as you see up there on the screen, what I just read is what they were doing. So I think this is a clear sign of the coaching improvement that the Jets now have going from year one to year two. And that's going to matter statistically in the growth of Zach Wilson. I also thought a very key point here in this story from Breer is what Joe Flacco has done to help Zach Wilson. This is why the Jets love themselves Joe Flacco. So this is another great excerpt in this story into Zach Wilson. So far, so good. On the second day of OTAs, now, mind you, media was not at every OTA practice. They were only at, I believe, 5 in total. So there were a lot of times we didn't know this type of information, including what's in this paragraph here. On the second day of OTAs, Wilson had a good practice. Then a shaky walkthrough would made the staff a little nervous. Turns out he was sick and had to miss the team's third OTA as a result. Guess what we didn't know? That Zack even missed an OTA. Why? Media wasn't there that day. He came back for a fourth OTA, and by the fifth session, he was ascending again and kept taking step forwards from there through the team's minicamp. It's also worth mentioning that backup Joe Flacco has helped him, telling him to be more focused on what he's doing and less on the defense to further simplify the process. The Shanahan system, the coaches have emphasized to Wilson, has answers for him that don't require him to worry as much about the other team. And Flacco has reminded Zach Wilson that very few quarterbacks, a la Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, have full command of everything happening out there. And none of those quarterbacks, Flacco's advice goes, had it in their second year, which really cuts to the heart of all this for the Jets. All they're trying to do now is have him be the best 22-year-old quarterback he could be. Last year, he worked his ass off, one staffer said, but he tried to learn so much, so fast, and that's probably where we failed him. I think it's obvious if you read this story, Zach Wilson should not have started week one last year. Now, I'm glad he did. He got the growing pains out of the way, but you could see why the Jets reworked what they did this offseason with the offense for Zach Wilson. Now you factor in the following. 1, Zack being in the system for a full year. 2, LaFleur being up in the booth for a full year calling the plays. And 3, Zach Wilson having better offensive linemen, better running backs, better receivers, and better tight ends around him. You could see why the Jets are bullish on Zack's progress. Because when they simplified the offense, when LaFleur learned when he needed to do better as a coach, which is what you expect for a guy that's never been a coordinator before stepping into that role, you could see why the arrow is pointed up for Zack. If you just look at the stats, you're going to say, he was a bust. He wasn't good as a rookie. Why are we going to expect this huge leap? But if you really go into the details of it, and then you watch how Zack finished when they did simplify the offense, when John Beck came in to help Zack with his footwork, to get rid of what the Jets called in that story, the yips that we saw early on, you could see why they're very excited about Zach Wilson's progress. But I thought that was a great insight into what they've done specifically this offseason here from Albert Breer. I love the fact that they basically toned down the playbook. That's what they did here. You can see it again. I'll put it back up on the screen before we play you some audio from Robert Saleh that really puts this story now into much better context. But just making this offense easier for Zach Wilson, to me, is the biggest thing. They say it's a quarterback-friendly offense if you know the offense. And I think now Zach's going to know the offense way better than he obviously did as a rookie. Now, from there, I want to go to something Robert Saleh said yesterday. He was a guest on the Rich Eisen show, and this was Robert Saleh being asked a question about Zach Wilson. Now that you know what the Jets did specifically to the offense to help Zach, I think you'll find this answer from Robert Saleh particularly interesting.
Driven league. You know that better than anybody. So tell me about your guy, year two. How different does he look right now? It's Zach Wilson.
He looks a lot more comfortable. He's a year ago at this time, if he made a mistake, he would give this long dissertation about how he saw a certain player doing something, and in our system, it's progression based. It's 1, 2, 3, let it go. And this year, you could just, before Rob or Mike LaFleur could even talk to him, he's like, I know. And he would point to where he should have went, or he points to what he could have done. And the dissertation, there's a saying in football, see a little, see a lot, see nothing. And he's getting from seeing a lot to seeing very little, and which is what you want him to see, because when you see little, you actually widen your vision, if that makes sense. But he's done a really nice job. He's a lot more comfortable in the offense, a lot more decisive. He still has that tremendous arm talent. I love the fact that he went off schedule some during OTAs, a lot more than he did a year ago. Because off schedule, he is an incredible talent when he does go off schedule, and he looks good. He looks comfortable. He's more comfortable around his teammates. He's more comfortable in conversation. So it looks good. Now we just got pieced together.
What does off schedule look like? What do you mean by that?
It looks like his pro day.
Ha! Okay, that throw, the throw that you're referring to,
the throw, the sidearm, the off platform, when he's running, when you exit the pocket, and he can deliver the ball to certain spots, like the Tennessee game where he hit Keelan Cole and he hit Corey Davis when he was off schedule, leaving the pocket and keeping his eyes downfield, and no one's going to question his talent and his physical traits. It's really bringing the physicality, the physical traits that he has, and combining it with the mental part of the football game, which is the hardest part to learn, especially at quarterback. And we're really hopeful that he takes a good step forward and being a good quality starting quarterback. And who knows where he can take it. But I think we all share the same thoughts as he does, and that we think his sky's the limit. So, just taking those steps one day at a time. And
I just love hearing that from Robert Saleh, because that's really what they've done. That really explains why they believe so much in Zack, because they simplify this offense. He knows the offense, and they gave him playmakers, man. They gave him weapons. If you guys watched Flight 2022, one of the captions to the episodes is "Playmakers, baby," and that's because you gave him Garrett Wilson, you gave him Breece Hall, you brought back Braxton Berrios, you obviously went out there and you signed 2 legit tight ends, and CJ Uzama and Tyler Conklin. You drafted Jeremy Ruckert. You feel like this offense has a chance to really take a leap. Obviously, it's going to come down to the leap that Zach Wilson in particular takes. But if you understand what they've done specifically to help them, from the coaching to the playmakers around him, there's reasons to think that Zach Wilson is capable of that second-year leap. So a lot of it is just like, quarterbacks get better year 1 to year 2. That's true. Sam Darnold got better year 1 to year 2 statistically, but there needs to be that leap. And I think it's the first time in a while that I can remember as a Jet fan, you feel like the coaching matches up with the talent on the team, and Zach Wilson's talent alone makes you feel like he's got star potential. That's why he was picked 2nd overall. Saleh talked about, the physical traits. I mean, those are obviously there. The mental side of the game is what Zach has to master. And there's some evidence early on here through that story we talked about to open the show that Albert Breer wrote that Zach Wilson's starting to, quote-unquote, master that mental side of the game. Here's more evidence about that. This was Zach Wilson last week at mandatory minicamp explaining the biggest differences that he's seeing in himself now from year 1 to year 2. I don't know why it's green. Hold on. Let's start this video over. Here we go.
I think it's just watching clips from last year and maybe comparing it to other quarterbacks that have been within the system before, and just saying, hey, look, in this clip, how he got his eyes here sooner or later, or, whatever the concept was, and just seeing the timing of, that's what it looked like when somebody did it the right way, and this is what it looked like when you did it last year. This is how we can correct it. So I think it's just seeing the good examples, and then also just the reps of it. The more you see it in practice, the I think there's a lot of times where we're running certain concepts, and now I'm starting to think back to many reps that I've had that the defense looked just like that, and I'm able to eliminate quicker, get to a backside read, because I'm last year I saw it in whatever game it was, this exact defense, I know that's not going to be there, I can move on. Whereas last year it was, I don't know how this is going to play out, let me hang on it a little bit. So it's your process speeds up once you start to understand what's going on.
He's understanding what's going on. He's learning. That's really the biggest thing. These are just examples I wanted to show about why the Jets believe themselves in Zach Wilson. The reality is they better be right. We all know Joe Douglas's job and Robert Saleh's job will hinge on the fact, can Zach Wilson develop into I'm not going to say elite, but a very good quarterback in this league, because that's the only way you could have long, sustainable success in the NFL. Like the reason why the Jets never had long, sustainable success with Rex Ryan, I don't think Rex forgot how to coach after they went to the championship game the second year in a row. Problem was they had to pay Sanchez, and the team got worse around Mark Sanchez, and he wasn't at a stage in his career or really ever where he could elevate the team. Right now, Zach's on a rookie deal, so you could put pieces around him and help elevate him. Eventually, it gets to a point where the quarterback elevates the other players around you, and that's when you have a franchise quarterback. It's like putting makeup. Like having a great quarterback in the NFL is the best cosmetic you could have. All right, it eliminates all of your other issues because your quarterback can bail you out. We're not at that stage yet, obviously, with Zach Wilson. The Jets got to bail him out, and Zach should take that step in year 2, but you get the point. The only chance you have of long, sustainable success in the NFL is above average quarterback play. And if you have top 10 quarterback play year in, year out, you're a playoff contender. And eventually you knock on the door long enough, you break through and you can get to a Super Bowl. And that's got to be the goal. But this team has certainly put Zach Wilson in a position to succeed. And that was the biggest question that I had coming into the offseason. Are we going to be able to sit here going into the year saying, if Zach fails or doesn't take a big enough leap, we know it's on him and not the Jets? And I think, barring catastrophic injuries with this Jets team, we could say that. And now it's on Zach to take that step, and I have full confidence that he will take that step, going from rookie season to his second year in the NFL. Agree or disagree? You let me know in the comment section. If you're watching live, we're going to open it up right now to some Q&A. Appreciate all you guys for taking the time to watch today's show. Let's talk sports betting, because now is the time to sign up and make your account over at BUSR. BUSR is my official sports book. That really should be yours too. Tonight, we got Yankees-Rays. How about that win for the Yanks last night? Garrett Cole, no-hitter into the 8th inning. Bullpen Clay Holmes allows a couple runs. All of a sudden, we're tied. Have no fear. Aaron Hicks is here for the Yankees. They win. They get win number 50. The Mets, seemingly, they also never lose. Best record in the National League. Mets taking on the Astros, so I'll be following that game closely here in Houston. We got 2 teams with 40-plus wins matching each other in baseball for the first time this year when the Mets play the Astros later tonight. If you want to bet on that game or any game, check it out. It's busr.com/Asman. And listen closely. If you sign up and make the minimum deposit, you'll double your deposit within 24 hours. So essentially, let's say you sign up for $100. Boom, that's $200. That's going to your account. Join the fun. It's busr.com/Asman. All right, let's open it up now. Comments, questions, anything on your mind. Super chats, of course, will go first and cut the line. Daniel Murphy says, the Jets need to be bullish on Zach's progress. He's the most important piece to the puzzle. They definitely need to be bullish publicly, but it was good insight to know why they're bullish on him privately. It's not just, we like him. It felt like with Sam Darnold, it's like, McCagnon took him 3rd overall, and then we got him Adam Gase. He's going to, no, there's tangible things the Jets did this offseason to help Zach from a coaching standpoint. We know about the talent. All right, you had Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Jeremy Ruckert in the draft to go with Laken Tomlinson, CJ Uzama, Tyler Conklin, and re-signing Braxton Berrios. We know the talent is better than it was at this point last year. But what did they do from a mental standpoint, a coaching standpoint to help Zach? The Albert Breer story we highlighted gave you insight into what went wrong for Zach last year and what they're doing to help him. And I really think the biggest takeaway, or one of the biggest takeaways, I should say, from the story is the last line in this story here. I'm going to remove this comment super chat thing so you could see. When one Jet staffer tells Albert Breer, last year he worked his ass off, but he tried to learn so much so fast, and that's probably where we failed him. If Zach Wilson was in the offense Mac Jones ran last year, Zach Wilson, I believe, puts up better stats. Because I just think Zach Wilson's got far more talent than Mac Jones. They didn't put that much on Mac Jones' plate. He had a great coach, who's now the head coach of the Raiders, calling his plays. He obviously had the number 3 running game in the NFL, top 5 defense, and he was a game manager. Like, if Zach Wilson was asked to do that in New England, I think he puts up better numbers. And that, to me, is the crux of what the Jets now seemingly are trying to do. Take less off Zach Wilson's plate, focus on the things that he could focus in on, and allow him to kind of grow into that position naturally, as Robert Saleh talked about in that audio clip I played from the Rich Eisen show yesterday. Let's keep going here with your comments and questions. Avidin says, fans need to make sure they manage expectations. If Zack finishes in the top 20, then his year is a success. If the expectations are too high, it can lead to needless disappointment. To me, it's all about the eye test. I don't know where Zack needs to rank statistically for me to feel like he took a step in year 2 that we feel really good about. To me, it's the eye test. Are the Jets winning games? Are they in the mix in December? Is Zach Wilson playing well in the fourth quarter? Is he having a couple games where he does go over 300 yards passing? Does he have a couple moments where he wins the game? He's the reason why. I mean, that's really what I want to see. I don't know what that looks like from a stat perspective. I do think Zack throws over 20 touchdowns this year. I do think he throws over 3,500 yards this year, but I don't want to put Zach Wilson on a stat requirement because I don't know if that's what he needs to do. This is not Dan Orlovsky saying he's going to go 30, 10, and 4,000 yards passing. And that to me is that to me is not fair to put on Zach Wilson. John says, Adam Gase just filled up my tank at Wawa. He looks good. John, I'm happy that Gase is doing well. New Jersey, the Super Trucker says that we're going to the playoffs this year. From your lips to God's ears. That'd be fantastic. Dakota says, Jets definitely going to the playoffs soon. Soon, yes. This year, I wouldn't bet on it, but I'd love to be wrong. Roberto says, we have a chance to be an explosive offense, especially with all the tight ends and receivers. I will say, this is the most talent the Jets have had on offense since 2010. I really believe that. I think this talent they have on offense is better than 2015, the last time they had a top 10 offense statistically. The thing is, 2015 was very top-heavy. It was also veteran-heavy. Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker, Chris Ivory, Fitz, they're all veterans. This is a young team. There could be growing pains early, which is why the Jets defense really needs to step up right away. That pass rush, which has a lot of veterans on it, besides the rookie sensation and Jermaine Johnson, has to set the tone early. David says, I'm so bullish, such in a positive move with this team that if this regime doesn't succeed, it will hurt more than any other, and I'd be completely convinced that this team is cursed and never will win. Damn, David. Well, let's not sit here and think they're cursed, but I get the optimism. I really do. Yoshi says, Jake, PFF has the Jets O-line as the 13th best entering 2022, well ahead of the Bills and Dolphins, but behind the Pats. I think that's fair. I think the Jets O-line by the end of the year, if Mekhi Becton's healthy, and we know, that's obviously a question mark until Mekhi proves it on the field, I think this Jets offensive line should be in the top 10. They put a lot of resources into this offensive line group. I mean, let's just look at the amount of money that they have spent, or draft capital they have spent on the offensive line. George Fant is making a lot of money. Laken Tomlinson is making a lot of money. Connor McGovern is a top 5 paid center. Elijah Vera Tucker and Mekhi Becton are first-round picks. We're talking about considerable cash here that's being invested here. Laken Tomlinson, by the way, was a first-round pick. You got a lot of first-round picks on that offensive line. This line should be good. Let's see. Hawk says, did anyone else know that Michael Clemens' nickname is Cyclops? How awesome is that? I did not know that. You learn something new every day, Hawk. Thanks for sharing that with me. I did not. Dakota says Tua is a game manager. I agree, but I think the Dolphins have a lot of talent around him, so it's on him to take a big step this year. If he doesn't, then, Miami's got problems. Melvin says, in Joe D, we trust. We do trust Joe D. But now it's about winning football games. I think Robert Saleh, has a lot of pressure on him, more pressure than Douglas does. I think Douglas has done his job this offseason. Robert Saleh, who I like personally, has to get this team to win football games. King Choice says, can we please be blessed enough to see our team healthy for week 1 so we can actually see how much punch we have on the field. Wouldn't that be nice if the Jets have a year where they're just not decimated by injuries? Luis says, how small do you think the gap is between the Jets and the rest of the division? It really feels like the Jets, Pats, and Finns are all about the same right now. Look, until the Jets prove it, they're going to be picked to finish fourth by most. I think they're just as good as the Pats and the Dolphins, though. I really do. I really do. Buffalo's the clear-cut best team in the division. I think they're the best team in the league. But, I really believe that the Jets have closed the gap. The Patriots roster is not that good. They got Belichick, and that's the great equalizer, as we all know. But the Finns, I don't trust Miami. I just don't. They got a first-year head coach. I don't like Tua. I'm curious to see how it plays out. I think the Jets could come in second in the AFC East. I wouldn't be shocked. Michael says, really want those 80s jerseys and helmets, but I just grabbed a Garrett Wilson jersey. I'll just have to get a Garrett Wilson 80s one of them. Got to make the change. Well, you could get a throwback 80s jersey. I got I got a Joe Klecko jersey in my closet. That's an 80s throwback. Look, I want the Jets to rock the 80s jerseys and helmets too as a throwback. I think it's time. I mean, it's been 40 years. It's time. Hawk says Tua is a bar manager. I think Tua is a bus driver. I don't think he's a fighter pilot, to use quarterback terms. Jerry Spence says 10-7. 10-7. Wouldn't that be nice? Luis says, with Deshaun most likely out this season, I think beating Baltimore becomes imperative to a winning season. Could go 3-1 in the first 4 games. The Jets got to start 2-2. Have to. Minimum 1-3, but 2-2 for sure. You can't tell me that you can't split one of your first 2 home games, either Baltimore or Cincinnati. And then you got to find a way to win one of your 2 road games when the quarterbacks you're facing are a combination of Jacoby Brissett and then Mitch Trubisky / Kenny Pickett. Sorry, I know it's the AFC North and holy bleep, the almighty enough. Win games. All right? There's teams that overachieve every year. How did Miami win 9 games last year? I'm not even going to use Cincinnati going from a 4-win team to the Super Bowl. How did Miami win 9 games last year? That should be the Jets. Jets carpetbagger with a super chat. He cuts the line. Belated comment. Watch Flight 2022 series. So awesome. Wanted to crank some music and jump in a mosh pit. Stoked for the 2022 season. Look, Flight 2022 was awesome. The Jets team did a great job putting that together. And I'll tell you, my favorite moment from Flight 2022 was this right here. Robert Saleh's message to the Jets.
I always talk about when you're writing the story of your own life, never allow another man to hold a pen. Period. We have a gap to close. And here's the real stat for you. We've got 12 consecutive division game losses. We've been outscored by our opponent 358 to 158. That's 16.6 per game. We have a gap to close. All right, showing up is a first step. Showing up is a first step, guys. How we grow and how we close that gap is going to depend on every person in this room, including me, myself. You guys feel me on that? That's real. 12 losses. That ain't for that ends this year.
How about that? A little cursing from Robert Saleh. I mean, that's what you want to hear. Look, Saleh could be Mr. Nice Guy in front of the media, but behind closed doors, that's what I want to hear. Like, it's enough of the losing. I'm tired of the same old Jets. I'm tired of having to look forward to the offseason. Win games this year. There's no reason why they can't. There's no reason why they can't. This roster has enough talent to be competitive and steal wins against good teams and beat the teams they're supposed to beat. It's going to come down to Zach Wilson, but I like that from Robert Saleh. Close the gap. He's right. Melvin says, showing up, first step, mic drop. Yeah, that's not a great look for Mekhi Becton. Just saying. And I'm a Mekhi defender, but let's call it how it is. Luis says, the Saleh speech gives me chills every time. It should. I loved hearing that. That's the best speech I've heard from a Jet coach since Rex Ryan in 2010. I mean, you think Adam Gase is giving that speech or Todd Bowles? No shot. Melvin says, Flight 2022 was amazing. That stat Saleh said about us closing the gap was jaw-dropping and eye-opening. It was. It was a great stat. It really was. It really was. He's right. Everything Robert Saleh said there, I mean, he was speaking on behalf of the Jet fan base, it felt like, in that speech. That, to me, was my favorite moment of Flight 2022. Dakota says, we can beat the Bengals as well. We always do. They are bleep. We don't always beat the Bengals. I mean, let's go back to 2016, week 1 of the season. The Jets blew that game. That was terrible. AJ Green getting that late touchdown. Oh, that was a horrible loss that I remember in the home opener that year. Besides the point, though, they can beat the Bengals. It's not an automatic loss. They got to find a way, I believe, to win at least one of their first 2 home games. MetLife will be up for grabs for both games. And the Cincinnati game, I believe they're honoring Mangold. So win for Nick. Dark Soldier. I don't know. I'll have to look at the tape. That's probably what Gase would have said. VR says you play to win the game type speech. Yeah, a little Herm, a calmer Herm Edwards type speech there from Sal. That works. Be yourself. Don't try and fake it. Eduardo says the Jets will be 7-2 at the bye. Someone tell Brady Quinn that. He thinks they're going to be 0-9 at the bye. Jeremy says Steelers and Browns we could beat. I agree. They can beat them. Will they, though? That's the question with this team. Walla Walla Dose says, I don't know why we're so confident in bashing Miami. Let's just focus on us. They could be decent or bad, kind of like us. I think the Jets could be better than Miami. They got to prove it, though. They play Miami at home week 5. That's a divisional game. They have not won a game in the AFC East in 3 years. Robert Saleh, in that speech I just played, he talked about it. Win your division games. Have to. If this team's going to play meaningful games in December like the GM says they're going to be, you have to win games in your own division. Also, shout out to Walla Walla Dose, one of the great Jet fans out there. Great family of Jet fans as well. BC says, let's see how it plays out. I'm cautiously optimistic. Have to win at least 7 games. 7's the minimum. I know the win total is 5.5. If the Jets win less than 7, I'm incredibly disappointed with this team. Incredibly disappointed. Jose says, Zack needs to replicate what guys like Stafford and Carr did after struggling early in their career before putting it all together. How about just look at Josh Allen? I mean, there's countless examples. Michael says, that Browns game is going to be all about stopping Chubb and Hunt. Going to be a tough test for RD. No doubt. I mean, it's not an easy game, but would you much rather play Cleveland with Deshaun Watson at quarterback or Jacoby Brissett? So that's a winnable game. Jeremy says, I'm tired of going through the mock drafts in late October. Aren't we all? Jay Stone says, I'm very concerned about Becton. Not good. I will say I didn't have time to pull the clip because I wanted to focus on Zach Wilson in today's video. But Robert Saleh asked about Becton. He gave an answer that made me feel a lot better about where Mekhi's at going in the training camp than what we were led to believe last week, where there was a lot of doubt and kind of a cloud over the Becton situation. I encourage Jet fans to check out the Eisen interview if you want to hear the answer that I'm referencing when Saleh was asked about Becton. He's got to be ready to go. Look, I can't sit here and say I don't have any doubts about Mekhi. I'm just willing to give him the benefit of the doubt until we get the training camp. He better be ready to go. If he's not, then we got major problems. Eric says, how much longer do you think the Bills are going to control the division considering the play style of Josh Allen? I think for the foreseeable future, Eric. I mean, the play style of Josh Allen, he's built like a truck. I'm not worried about injuries with that guy. I'm not. And it's not like Josh Allen, yes, he's a mobile quarterback. He beats you through the pocket, though. All right, the guy's a beast. But here's the thing. Sean McDermott's not Bill Belichick. This is not Brady and Belichick together. That's what made the Patriots the Patriots. You had the best quarterback of all time matched up with the best coach of all time. The Bills could be beat. Not saying the Jets are going to beat them this year because I don't think the Jets are on the same level, not even close to Buffalo yet. But it won't be the Bills division forever. I mean, that's just not how it goes. Also, how many Super Bowls did Dan Marino win, or Jim Kelly? And those are 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. VR says 198 watching, only 48 likes. We're better than this. I agree. VR, you're the man. Thanks for letting everyone know. Big Jet says 2025 Super Bowl champs. I mean, I'd sign for that, Big Jets. I could wait a couple more years. Joshua says, we got corners. We can put more focus on stopping the run. You know, a key factor in the Jets stopping the run will be the development of Sauce Gardner right away. If Sauce Gardner could be like Revis and just lock up a number one receiver with no help, you could then put more attention to stopping the run. I think that's an interesting point. We'll see, though. Expecting Sauce to be Revis right away is not a fair expectation. John says, Saleh has been emphasizing that Becton's knee has no limitations. Excuses are out the window for the big fella. John, I'm glad you specifically referenced this because, full disclosure, I was trying to remember what specifically Saleh said about Becton's knee. And I was trying to, I thought it'd be irresponsible if I'd said something that wasn't true. But thanks for reminding me. In that interview with Rich Eisen, when Saleh was asked about Becton, he referenced what you wrote there on the screen, that Becton's knee has no limitations. Meaning, he should be at the weight the Jets want him to be at, ready to go in late July when training camp starts. Minimum. If he's not, then there's major problems. VR says, where is Jets Forever? I received word from Jets Forever that his parents forgot to plug him to the charger last night before bedtime. So he's not able to join us live today, VR. But we do miss Jets Forever. If someone wants to fill in by saying Denzel Mims is the greatest receiver since Jerry Rice in the comment section, please feel free. Melvin says, if you love America, hit the like. Melvin, you make a salient point. RC says, let's not forget. My voice is cracked. I apologize. I've done too much talking. Let's not forget about our running game. We could credit the run for taking us to 2 AFC championships. This group will be elite. The running game is going to be huge. This should be the best running game the Jets had since they actually had a top 3 running game in 2010 with LT and Sean Green. They're young, though, and injuries are going to play a part here. Can Carter stay healthy? And how good is Breece Hall right away? I'm bullish on Breece Hall. The Jets are bullish on Zach Wilson. I am bullish on Breece Hall. I think he's going to be awesome. Avidon says, I know the Jets haven't won the division, but that was mostly under the worst head coach in the league. Can't carry that over to year 2 of Saleh. They got to win division games, period. Yeah, they have not won a division game in years. They're 0-12 again in the AFC East the last 2 years. The last time the Jets won a division game was that meaningless last game of the regular season in 2019 where they finished 7-9. Xavier says, Zach will be fine. He was a rookie and then his brain was going 1,000 miles per minute. Him sitting midseason was the best thing that happened to him. Put the ball in playmakers' hands and profit. You know, what's that saying? You know, you can't go broke taking a profit. That's what Zach started to do down the stretch. He played within the structure of the offense. Tinstar says he didn't execute the offense until he saw 3 guys do what he wasn't willing to do. I don't think it was what he wasn't willing to do. I think he was learning, man. He's learning. You get better at your job with more reps. Sometimes you get better by sitting and watching. Zach got to sit and watch. He got better. You know, I said it at the time. Let's hope it's a blessing in disguise that Zach got to sit. I think it was. I really think it was. Let's keep going here with your comments, questions, anything that's on your mind. Super chats. We'll cut the line. Melvin says, if you love America, hit the like button. He's right. If you love this great country, hit the like button and subscribe to the show if you're a Jet fan. Jay Stone says, shouldn't Becton have been at the weight and ready to go already? It sounds like he's ready to go. The Jets didn't put him out there in mandatory minicamp because he hadn't been with the team all offseason. That'd be irresponsible. But I don't know what the weight he's at. I'm not going to sit here like Boomer Esiason and assume he's 400 pounds. I don't think that's fair to Mekhi Becton. That being said, he got to be ready to go in July. He should be at the weight the Jets want him to be. Clearly, he's not, because if he was, they would say something. But that doesn't mean he's that far off. And just because he wore a T-shirt and changed his Twitter name to Big Bust, I don't think that's a reason why, you know, Mekhi Becton's not going to work out in New York, as Boomer Esiason put it yesterday, or that the Jets will cut him in training camp. That's not happening. Ray says top 5 rushing offense. It should be top 10, right? It really should be. Chosen one Dia. I think I have that right. Anyone else excited for the preseason to see a lot of Michael Clemens? I'll tell you, has there ever been a Jets 4th-round pick that has this much hype around him? Quite like Michael Clemens does? I'm excited for him too, but, we're still talking about a 4th-round pick. Michael says, I see a lot of Ricky Williams in Breece Hall, minus the weed addiction. So Deuce McAllister was the comp that Connor Rogers had for Breeze. I'd sign for that right now. Go look at Deuce McAllister's first couple of years in the NFL. Sheesh. John says Breece the Beast has an interesting running style. Is that what we're calling Breece? Breece the Beast? The headline writers in New York are going to have a lot of fun with his name. Big Jet says, sub to the show, gentlemen and ladies. We got ladies that watch the program as well. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Luis says Michael Carter has that hype. I love Michael Carter, man. I think the Jets running back combo is going to be one of the strengths of the team. Jose says there's more hype for Clemens than Jermaine Johnson. I wouldn't go that far, Jose, but there's definitely a cult, a cult movement among Jet fans for Michael Clemens. I can't wait for Jermaine Johnson though. I'm so excited. The more I hear this guy talk about being a Jet in football, how could you not love hearing what you have heard so far from Double J? Xavier says, by the way, moved to Houston in December from New York. Where do Jet fans congregate to watch Gangrene? Any recommendations? Xavier, absolutely. You're talking to the right guy. HoustonJetFans.com has all the information that you need to know all about where to find Jet fans to watch the games on Sunday. I'll even drop the link here in the comment section. But if anyone's watching this in Houston and you're a Jet fan, HoustonJetFans.com. I don't know what bar we're going to be at for this upcoming season. It's changed the last couple of years because of COVID and everything. But there are when I say this, I mean it, a crap load of New York Jets fans that live in Houston. There's a lot of New Yorkers that live in Houston. Period. Just watch how many Met fans are going to be at Minute Maid Park later tonight for the Astros game, or how many Yankee fans will be at Minute Maid when the Yankees play here. Ton of New Yorkers live in Houston. So there'll definitely be a sports bar where the Jet fans will get together. And at the Jets-Texans game last year, there had to have been at least 250-plus Jet fans that were at this tailgate at NRG. That was awesome. So welcome to Houston, Xavier. Look forward to meeting you. Dakota says, Breece is definitely Batman. MC is definitely Robin. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I want Breece and MC to be what, Chubb and Hunt are in Cleveland. Like, that's the type of running game you want the Jets to possess. Brendan says, I don't think Mekhi will be a bust. If he is, that 2020 draft class is pretty awful. I don't think he'll be a bust. I don't think he'll be a bust. But you're right. The fate of the 2020 draft class, at least the perception of it by us fans and media, will come down to Mekhi Becton. If Becton's really solid, even though a lot of the other picks have not worked out, you come away with Becton in that class, and you come away with Bryce Hall in that class, you salvaged it. If you hit on your first-round pick and found a legitimate starting corner in the mid-rounds, the Jets have had plenty of worse draft class than 2020, especially if they hit on a starting tackle. Mekhi Becton's got to be what he was as a rookie, though, and obviously play. Avidon says, don't just hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get alerts when Jake goes live. Yeah, a lot of people ask, hey, Jake, when do you go live every day? It depends on my work schedule here in Houston. Usually in the mornings is when I try to go live because I host Afternoon Drive on ESPN Radio in Houston, so I'm busy from 3 to 7 every day. So usually in the mornings is when I go live, but if you subscribe and hit that bell icon, you'll be notified when we go live for those who want to tune in live. Brandon says, our run game really depends on Becton's health, in my opinion. If he's healthy at least 15 games, our run game will be ranked like 9. If Becton gets hurt, we'll be around 13 or 14. They should be higher than 9 if Mekhi is healthy. If Mekhi is healthy and plays to his talent, as Robert Saleh called him, transcendent, if he's that opposite the talent of Fant, Tomlinson, and AVT, this offensive line should be, top 10, and this running game could crack the top 5 if guys stay healthy. That was honestly a big key to the 09 and 2010 Jets. Look at games played that year. I was looking at this the other day. Look how many games Mangold, obviously DeBrickashaw never missed any game, but you look at how many games Faneca had played that year, or Damian Woody in his 2 years, during that stretch in 09 and 2010. That to me is what it comes down to: continuity and durability. And we know the Jets emphasized durability in free agency, as they should. Look at games played by Lake and Tomlinson. That's a huge factor in why the Jets wanted to sign him. Mike Cohen says, Breesy is greasy. Is that what we're calling him? Breesy is greasy? I hope he's greasy. He's slipping off defenders. Jet Carpetbagger with an interesting one. What quarterback do you think interviews the best after games? That's a good question. Who's the best interview after games? It's definitely not Tom Brady. He's a bore. I mean, I loved Peyton Manning's post game. Honestly, Deshaun Watson was excellent after games. When I covered him, he'd kind of go inside the playbook and break down specific plays and give really good answers. I mean, I got obviously hands-on experience with that, being in Houston, covering Deshaun before everything has transpired since. I don't know. I got to think about this one. There's not an obvious one that jumps off the page to me. Jameis Winston is pretty funny if you want like humor. If you want like actual like football breakdown, Aaron Rodgers, if you get him in the right mood, could be pretty insightful. Jimmy Garoppolo, when he's hitting on Aaron Andrews, could be kind of funny. That was that famous clip a couple of years ago. I don't know. I got to think more about that, Carpetbagger. You stumped me. That's a good one. Michael Clemens says, Batman and Robin can both kick your ass. That is true. That is true. Oh, I got one. Joe Burrow is awesome after games. He's got that like cockiness to him, but he's still likable. He's got that nice balance. Mike says, what is your prediction on the Mets versus Astro series? It's a weird series. It's only 2 games. And it's tonight and tomorrow's the day game, which I despise, by the way, because then the Astros play in the middle of our radio show, and it limits. Well, we're not going to do an Astros topic when the Astros are playing, because why would you want to hear about the Astros if you're listening to us? You're going to be listening to the game. So I'm going to vent my work frustration about that. But yeah, it's a 2-game series. They play today, obviously, and then during the day tomorrow. I'll say they split. I don't know. It's 2 games. Baseball. There's randomness involved. I'll say they split. Jay Stone says, when are they going to bring you here in New York to do this for reals? Jay Stones, unfortunately, that's not up to me. That is not up to me, but I appreciate it. But you know how they say, write your local congressman, to get something done, as if that's going to really have meaningful change or whatnot. Write your favorite sports radio station for them to hire me. There you go. Kelly Wilson says Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick is very good after games. He's now retired, though. Ooh, we got breaking Deshaun Watson news. Deshaun Watson has reached settlements with all but 4 civil lawsuits that were filed against him, according to attorney Tony Busby. This is big. Deshaun realized he had no choice but to settle. Wow, this is big news here. Talk about the lead for today's radio show. 20 of the 24 civil lawsuits filed against Deshaun have been settled and will soon be dismissed. The original offer, I was told, was around $100K per woman. I bet you that price went up when these women saw Deshaun sign a $230 million fully guaranteed contract. Deshaun was not going to play in the NFL with active civil cases against him. He'll probably try and settle the remaining 4 that are left. And he's going to try and maintain his innocence and whatnot. If he did nothing wrong, you wouldn't be settling. I'm just going to leave it at that. I know a lot more I can't even say about this, but that's big news there. So how does it affect the Jets? We'll localize it here. Deshaun's getting suspended. He's not playing week 2 against the Jets. I'd be shocked if the NFL doesn't levy a massive suspension against him. Keep that in mind. Mr. Robot says, never say hands-on around Deshaun Watson. Well played. Well played. Chosen One says, do you think Jermaine Johnson fell in the draft because he was 25? I feel like if he was 21, he definitely would have been a top 10 pick. I really don't know why he fell. And what was interesting about Flight 2022 is Schefter and Ian Rappaport, they didn't even really know why Jermaine fell. I think it was just luck. like a rare example of other teams prioritizing other positions before Jermaine Johnson. I mean, that's really what it came down to, it seems like. I mean, it's not like the guy is a, criminal past or he's got an injury history. There's no like red flags that you would traditionally see that would stop, a prospect from getting drafted. The Jets got lucky. Kay says, I like Zack after game interviews. Yeah, Zach's pretty good post game. Big Jet says, all hail Jake. All hail you, Big Jets. John says Watson still has to be suspended for a year at least. By the way, Jermaine Johnson's 23, not 25. There's like a lot of talk about Jermaine being Jermaine Johnson, is not 25. There was some thought he was. Let's see. Do a couple more here. Melvin says $250K a piece. It's quite possible. It's quite possible. I know it was $100,000 back when Miami was trying to trade for Deshaun. That's been out there. Brendan says, you think Watson's 1 year suspension is likely? I think he gets at least a year. I really do. Maybe there's a chance it's 10 games, 12 games. I think it's a year, though. I'll tell you what. The NFL is not going to under-suspend Deshaun Watson. They're not going to make the mistake that they made with Ray Rice. They rather over-suspend than under-suspend. VR says if Watson settles all, he'll get 6 games. See, I don't think the settlement truly matters in regards to the suspension, VR. The other 4 plaintiffs are still suing him. I mean, Zeke got 6 games, and there was only 1 woman. We're talking about still 24. So, I mean, it's a tough situation to break down, but I'd be surprised if Deshaun is not getting at least 10-plus games, and I'm still saying a year. Trackback says, what Jet rookie will have the biggest impact this year? I'm going Breece Hall. I think he's going to be, one of the more dynamic rookies in the league, regardless of position. VR says, still nothing criminal. The NFL doesn't need criminal charges, though, to suspend Deshaun Watson. And there's an important distinction here. Deshaun wasn't charged criminally, but he wasn't found not guilty. He wasn't exonerated. In fact, the Harris County DA said that the witnesses were credible. They just didn't have evidence to charge Deshaun Watson and win beyond a reasonable doubt in a criminal court. O.J. Simpson was found not guilty as well. He was found guilty in a civil court. Deshaun's facing civil charges. There's a difference. Tim says, how will a suspension work if Watson appeals? My understanding is the appeal hearing would be heard before the season. So we'll know a decision on Deshaun one way or another. Let's see. Did I miss any other Jet-related question? Matthew says, is Woody Johnson respected around the league? I don't know if he's not respected around the league. I want Woody Johnson just to stay out of the way. I mean, that to me is a good owner in professional sports is an owner that's willing to spend, hire the right people, and stay the F out of the way. All right, that's what you're supposed to do if you're a good owner. Like Robert Kraft gets all this credit for Belichick and Brady. I mean, you hired Belichick, great. You didn't draft Brady. You stayed out of the way. What makes Robert Kraft a great owner? But you're defined as a great owner by hiring the right people and staying out of the way. Woody didn't hire Joe Douglas. His idiot brother did. But, and I say idiot brother because his idiot brother hired Adam Gase and had the audacity to sit there at that press conference and tell us that Adam Gase is coaching football to where it's going. Never forget that moment in Jets history. But, Woody Johnson, I will say, he's not a bad owner. He's really not. He's owned the team since 2000. The Jets were a respectable franchise for most of the 2000s. Obviously, they've been a disaster since, but a lot of that disaster has been when Woody was gone. I feel better about Woody owning the team than his brother. His brother creeps me out. Maybe he's a nice guy. I don't know, but he hired Adam Gase, and I'll always use that against him. Let's keep going here. And North Nova says, there's no happy ending with Watson, or is there? Well played. Well played. According to Deshaun's attorney, happy endings aren't illegal. Keep that in mind. VR says, I prefer Woody over his brother. I think every Jet fan should. Big Jet says, do you think Zack could go down in the Hall of Fame, Jake? Could he? Yes. Will he? I mean, I'm not going to put that pressure on him. If I had to bet, I'd say no. Doesn't mean he can't be a great quarterback, though, or win a Super Bowl. Jennifer says 1 game per lawsuit for Watson. Well, do we count lawsuits that he's now settled? Depends how you look at it. VR says Woody Johnson's the name is funny, though. It's one of the great names of all time, Woody Johnson. Honestly, it's under discussed that the guy's name is Woody Johnson. It's pretty good. Bart Simpson wants to know, when do you expect Quan to make a decision on a team? I would say before training camp. So could be any day. Honestly, I don't think there's a timetable. Dark Soldier says Woody does a lot more for players than what people think. Chad Pennington mentioned a story about what he did for his family. Look, Woody, I don't think is a bad owner. I really don't. And the Jets do a lot of really good things for their alumni. You know, we've had plenty of guests on the show that have talked about it. I don't have any issues with Woody Johnson. Stay out of the way. Let Joe Douglas do his thing. And Flight 2022 was awesome because you saw Woody basically just deferring to Joe and Robert Saleh. And that's how it should be. Larry Ogunjobi's visiting the Steelers. I saw that VR. Look, if he wants to win, you could argue the Steelers are closer to winning than the Jets are because they have a better defense, like the best defense in the league. But, I mean, you're still talking about Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky as your quarterbacks, so we'll see. Matthew says, Woody did force Pennington out and Favre, which led to the demise of Mangini. Tannenbaum was on board with that too, though, Matthew. And let's be fair. Getting rid of Mangini led to Rex, which led to the Jets having their most success they've had, since 1998, back-to-back AFC Championship game appearances. So, in the end, that didn't work out too bad. The worst decision Woody made as an owner was he fired Mike Tannenbaum but kept Rex. It should have been all of them or none of them. And that really put the Texans. I got Deshaun Watson on my mind now. That really put the Jets in this situation that they were in. Christopher says, Woody is a robot. He is Jets forever. That's more Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson strikes me more as the robot than Woody. Michael says, how much we see in Zack in the preseason and how much credence do you give his performance? Very little, Michael. It doesn't matter. You don't game plan in the preseason. You're playing against backups. Zack played well in the preseason last year. Did it matter? He still got off to a poor start as a rookie. I don't think it matters. Play a couple drives. Keep him healthy. That's all that truly matters. I'd prefer Zack to play less in the preseason than more. Mr. Robot says, I'm the only robot here. I love Mr. Robot. He's a big listener to the Houston radio show. Appreciate you, Mr. Robot. So is Track. He's a Houston listener here. I'm hoping Watson gets at least a year for Texans' sake, but I hope Watson doesn't throw the Texans under the bus, and in turn, the NFL takes away draft picks from Houston. Any chance of that happening? Track, you got nothing to worry about. The deal is final. The Texans are not responsible for anything Deshaun Watson related. You got nothing to worry about at all. At all. Big Jet says, do you mind explaining what Jets Forever is, Jake? Sure. Jets Forever is someone that is always available and always commenting on every Jets YouTuber streams. He usually writes absurd takes that don't make any sense. He has players he likes, and if he doesn't like said player, they're the worst player of all time. Zach Wilson's the greatest quarterback ever. Denzel Mims is the greatest receiver since Jerry Rice. And he's everyone's favorite troll. And I actually think he's a robot. But he's not here today, so I think his parents forgot to plug in him to the charger last night. Him, she, it, they, whatever we're calling Jets Forever. He's basically, as Melvin says, the troll of all trolls. VR says, in fairness, Pennington was coming off injury and the arm was already average. Look, the Brett Favre move in hindsight was not the wrong move. I know it didn't work out, but the Jets were not winning a Super Bowl with Chad Pennington in 08. I really believe if Favre stayed healthy in 08, that was a Super Bowl caliber team. How do I know that? The following year with Mark Sanchez, they went to the championship game. And I think the Jets led at halftime in that 09 championship game. I try not to look it up because it's too painful. But you get the point. Like, that was the right move to make. It didn't work out, but that wasn't the wrong move. I'm not going to blame Woody for the Favre trade. They were 8-3, and everyone thought the Jets were Super Bowl bound. Remember, they upset the 10-0 undefeated Titans in Tennessee. They won that Thursday night game in Foxborough. The Jets were legit that year. The problem was Favre got hurt, and then he finished terribly. They collapsed and went 9-7. It cost Eric Mangini his job. But that was the right move. Favre gave the Jets a chance to win a Super Bowl more than Chad Pennington did, and this is coming from someone that loves Chad. He was the first jersey I ever owned. So I love Chad. But let's not say the Favre move wasn't the right move. It was. It didn't work out. There's a difference. And how do I know that as well? Go look at Favre's numbers in 2009. All right? Brett Favre in 2009 was ridiculous. Why? He was healthy. He had one of his best seasons statistically that first year in Minnesota. And they obviously went to the championship game that year against the Saints, and that was the infamous Bounty Gate game. But Brett Favre in 2009 finished 4th in MVP voting. The Vikings went 12-4. He threw for 4,200 yards, had 33 touchdowns against 7 interceptions. Like it was the right move. It didn't work out, but it was the right move. That was a win now team in 2008. How do I know that? Well, they went to the championship game in 2009 and 2010. Those were really good teams that Rex Ryan took over for. He took them to another level, but that was the right move. Brandon says, that Thursday night game was my favorite game I think maybe ever in my lifetime. I mean, that game was nuts. Jericho Cotchery had an incredible catch in that game. By the way, we're working on getting Jericho Cotchery on our show as a guest. I've been in contact with him, so I'm really excited about that. He's one of my favorite Jets ever. Eric says, where do you think the Jets running game is this year? It should be top 10 if guys stay healthy. James says, just tuned in. What do you think about the Becton news? Heard he's $395. Did a whole video about that yesterday, James. Check it out. But I don't think it's I don't think it's fair to speculate what his weight is. I don't know. Carpetbagger says, not a Houston fan, but watch your Houston show once in a while. Informative. Guy in the middle is funny. Yeah, the guy in the middle is Brad Kellner. BK, as we call him. Thanks for watching, Jets Carpetbagger. If you guys want to help me out, by the way, if you see a Houston video and you don't feel like watching it, if you could just click it and hit the like button, that helps. So I'll appreciate that. Takes 2 seconds, as you guys know. DMar says, Koch needs to be in the Ring of Honor. I agree. Jericho Cotchery should be in the Ring of Honor. All right? I would totally support that. Jericho Cotchery, I think, should be in the Ring of Honor. He was a great Jet. Great Jet. One of the biggest mistakes Mike Tannenbaum ever made was letting Jericho Cotchery walk. Huge mistake. Upset chemistry. The team was never right after that. Oh, Jets Forever's here. Hello, Jets Forever. Good to have you aboard. There he is. Carly says, can everyone take 1 second out of your day while watching to like this video? It's easy, free, and helps Jake grow his channel and keeps giving us great content. Thanks, Carly. Appreciate your support. Chat doesn't feel right without Jets Forever. He's here. Jets Forever is here. Christopher says, Cotchery still has Jets playoff records. You know what I loved about Jericho Cotchery? He owned the New England Patriots. He owned them. Go look at Jericho Cotchery's career numbers against the Patriots. And in that playoff win in 2010, he balled out. Remember that huge catch he had in that game? Oh, man. I love me some Jericho Cotchery. Him and Lavernius Coles were phenomenal together. Great duo. And then when you had Cotchery with Braylon Edwards and Santonio Holmes, I feel like the Jets' top 3 of Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, and Corey Davis. I mean, that's the most talent the Jets have had since that 3 that I just referenced. Eric says, if you weren't a Jets fan, what team would you support? Well, I mean, I probably would have been a Giants fan, right? I mean, I root for all the New York teams. New York just has 2 of every team. And in the case of hockey, we got 3, if you count the Devils. So, to me, this is an easy one. Brandon says, I feel like Cotchery caught every ball ever thrown his way. One of the most reliable studs the Jets have had. Love Jericho Cotchery. Devin says, good looks for hopping on the mic the other day on Xbox. Yeah, shout out to Devin. Devin plays Xbox with my brother, and I was home for a wedding a couple weeks ago, and my brother's like, "Hey, one of your listeners wants to talk to you," and I got to chop it up with Devin, who's a huge Jets fan. So shout out to Devin. Bart wants to know. We'll do a couple more here, then we'll wrap up. Will Mims make the roster with Jeff Smith allegedly being a stud in practices? I don't know about Mims making the roster. I think they could look to trade him, as I've said. We'll see what they get. We'll see what they get. I think it depends on injuries as well. I don't think they're in a rush to trade Mims, but if Douglas could get a 4th-round pick for Mims, he might do it. Big Jet says, how do you feel about the Buffalo Bills? I think they're the best team in the NFL. VR says, go Yankees. And if you're a Yankee fan right now and not enjoying this, I mean, I understand the goals World Series or bust, but you got to live in the moment as well. I saw this crazy stat today about the Yankees. The Yankees could lose 14 straight games, and they would still be on pace to win over 100 games. Isn't that nuts? They could lose 14 games in a row, and they still would be on pace to win over 100 games. That's insane. K Solo says, I've been watching you for the past couple weeks, and I'm not going to lie, you're becoming my favorite. From all the guys who talk about the Jets on YouTube, you're becoming my favorite. K Solo, that means a lot. You know, there's some great Jet content creators on YouTube, which is awesome. Our football team might be crummy, but I'd argue Jet fans have the best Jet YouTubers out there. So it's an honor to be in the mix. Mike Cohen says, I find it really weird that the only real New York team isn't considered a New York team. I guess you're talking about football, right? The Bills are not a New York team. All right. Anyone who's actually lived in New York could tell you Buffalo is its own area. It doesn't count. It's 8 hours away. That's not New York. Like Buffalo is Western New York. Buffalo's its own region. Buffalo's got Rochester and all the other Western New York towns. Buffalo is not New York. It's not considered a New York team. Just like you can't watch the Bills games in New York. It's out of market. Why? Because it's not really New York. We're talking about the tri-state. That is the New York region. You know, the 5 boroughs, Long Island, Westchester, some parts of Connecticut, and obviously north and parts of central Jersey. That's the New York area. Dakota says Buffalo should be called the New York Bills. Exactly. They're not. They're called Buffalo because it's different. Tyler says best fan base in the world. The Jets have certainly some of the best fan base was one of the best fan bases in all of sports. That to me is not debatable. You will not find a passionate fan base quite like the Jet fan base. They're the best. You know how bad this team has been and the passion that this fan base still has for the team? Jet fans are truly incredible. And there's honestly not a team in football, a fan base in football, that deserves a Super Bowl more than the Jet fan. I really believe that. See, like people might say, oh, the Lions or the Browns. The Jet fan has had to be in New York and watch the Giants win all these Super Bowls over the years. It's different. Tyler says, does Zach Wilson automatically get a year 3 because of the weapons we added? I believe he has the skill set. He doesn't automatically get a year 3. If he's just horrific, then he doesn't automatically get a year 3 if the Jets are picking first in the draft and Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are there. But I would be flabbergasted if Zach Wilson's not the quarterback in 2023. So it's not automatic, but he should get a year 3. Big Jet says, Jets Super Bowl's coming up, gentlemen. From your lips to God's ears. Here's Jets Forever chiming in about Mims, who have 1,000+ yards. Christopher says the Cowboys is not directly the city of Dallas. I mean, they play in Fort Worth. It's the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You know, that's like including Long Island with New York. Like the New York market, you know, like, so I work in radio, right? I check radio ratings all the time, being a radio guy. Here's an interesting stat about how big New York is. New York's the biggest media market in the world. That's why everyone wants to work there. You know, that's where you want to be. The reality is, if you count just Long Island, Nassau, and Suffolk County as its own market, it'd be top 10 in the country. I think it'd be number 9. Think about that. New York's number 1, but if you just isolated Long Island and Nassau County as its own media market, it'd be top 10 in the country. It's just a different world, man. There's different scrutiny, different pressure playing in New York City, playing in the biggest media market in the world. Corey says the Cowboys play in Arlington, not Fort Worth. It's between the two. Same thing. That whole area is the same thing, Corey. Arlington, Fort Worth. Arlington's where the Rangers played too, right? Isn't that where their new stadium was built? K Solo says, you're right. Buffalo is another world for New York City. I live in Buffalo 7 months. Big difference. My brother went to school at University of Buffalo. I've been to Buffalo many times. I got nothing against Buffalo, but Buffalo is not considered a New York team. They're not. The Sabres are not a New York team. The Bills are not a New York team. It's silly when Bills fans try to be like, oh, we're the only real New York team. You're not. Shut up. If you think that, you're a moron. Sorry. You're not. Don't be Captain Literal Man, as Don LaGreca or Peter Rosenberg would say to Michael Kay. VR says the Jets are like the Cubbies of football. I mean, look, the Cubs eventually broke through, right? The Jets are due. The Jets are due. Tyler wants to know, can we hit it once before we go, Jake? Tyler, that's a great way to end it. We gone for over an hour. Wow. Time flies when you're having fun. Yes, Tyler, if you want to hit it before we go, we will give you some Ron Middleton to wrap up today's program.
Moves, hit it. If it don't move, hit it. And if you're not sure, guess what? Hit it.
Yeah, there we go. All right, I appreciate all of you for watching the show. Hey, a reminder, I want to get you guys some Jets jerseys on the cheap. I have a website. It's called Parts Unknown, where you could purchase a Jets jersey for $30 or less. You can get a Zach Wilson jersey, Elijah Moore. I just ordered a Sauce Gardner jersey that says Sauce on the back, all for $30 or less. It's a really good website, Parts Unknown. I will share the link with you if you subscribe to the channel and you follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jake Asman. DM me on one of those social media platforms, and I will send you that link. It is my thank you to you for supporting this channel. Thanks for watching, everybody. My name is Jake Asman. We'll have more Jet-related content throughout the week. Of course, go Jets, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good one, everybody.